am Alexis Marie Allen. That is my official title name that I'm using. Usually I go by Lexi, but this isn't, I'm supposed to be smart. I'm putting on my MDiv hosting hat right now, if I can fit it over this wig. Listen, we're so glad that you joined us today. We're having conversations. It used to be conversation with the dean, but now today it's conversation with the deans. We have deans from each area that we're working with over at Virginia Union University. I am a proud alumni of this university, just graduated in May with my Master's of Divinity. I'm back in school now, getting my working on my doctoral degree. Thank you very much. Graduated with a 4.0. That's neither here nor there. What's important is what we're talking about today. And we just want to bring light to our university and answer some questions that may be in your mind, because we know that Virginia Union University is where you need to be. It's where you need to call home. You're asking yourself, well, why should I call Virginia Union University home? There's so many HBCUs to go to. Why VUU? And we're going to tell you why, and we're emphatic about that why. Today we have Dean John Guns. He is the dean of the School of Theology. Could you say hi to the people?
Hi, people. And thank you, Alexis, whatever all those other names are.
Wow.
Thank you so much for doing this for us. And hey, everybody, this is going to be an amazing time, so get ready.
Yes, and then we have Dean Holly Freeman. She is the dean of the School of Arts and Sciences. Could you say hello to the people?
Hello, I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to the conversation. So thank you, Lexi.
Absolutely. Then we have Dean Wendy Jewell. She is just that. She looks like a jewel. She is the dean of the School of Business.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Lexi. I'm excited to be here. I think this is going to be a fun conversation. I hope it's the first of many.
Yeah, for sure. Dean Terrell Strayhorn, he is the dean of the School of Education. Just say hi.
Yes, hello to everyone out there, and thank you, Lexi, for steering this conversation. Look forward to talking with all my dean colleagues about what we're doing here at Virginia Union University.
Yeah, so glad to have everybody. Now, usually these conversations can be a little stuffy because in the world of academia, it's all about PowerPoints, presentations, and the room can get a little stuffy. We're not stuffy at VUU. We're very practical. We're very down to earth. And I believe that that's one of the characteristics. That's one of the whys that you can come, because our professors, those who teach us, they answer the questions. There are no stupid questions. You ask them, and they're very forthcoming, whether you like it or not. I can remember some of my professors right now. Professor McKenzie is one of the most forthwith professors I've ever had. He's going to tell it to you like it is. But I'm going to start with this. I believe that VUU clearly connects with this generation. Not only this generation, but my generation. VUU has a way of connecting with us all. And I would like to know, Dean John Guns, what do you think that we're doing right that would make students say, yes, this connects with this current generation and those forever learners, those like me that have come back to learn? And let me say this also, Dean Wendy, you've got some forever learners that come back to the School of Business as well. We're going to get to you, but I want to start with Dean Guns on that. Why do you think we can kind of do that dance?
Well, I think first of all, because our president is deeply committed, and he's deeply committed to creating space for innovation. The vision and mission of our university speaks to continual learners, speaks to developing men and women, whether they are 18 or whether they're 70. It speaks to their ability to access this promise of a limitless future.
Yeah.
our professors are very committed to engaging students, and many of them spend time beyond just the classroom.
That's right.
Being engaged in the life of our students. At the end of the day, you have these these three amazing deans who are looking every day at how do we create a culture where every student is valued and appreciated, and every person who enters our community has the opportunity to walk away not only with a degree, but walk away with relationships that will be lasting for the rest of their life.
And that's important no matter what age group you're in. Just feeling seen. I think that's what you were saying. We've created a culture where students are being seen. They're just not a number. They're just not somebody in the classroom, but someone's taking time. Someone, in a busy world where everything is microwave, everything is fast food, everything is, pass through, do things online. You don't really get to connect. And I think that's what you're saying. You're speaking to the connection. You're speaking to all those things. I love that. That's why you should make VUU your home. All right. Dean Wendy.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? I think you've seen some forever learners come back, yes?
Yes, definitely. We have undergraduates that come back for the master's, and that we are planning a doctoral degree that we're going to be offering in the future. So we've got people like, is it there yet? When can I come back?
Wow.
For the School of Business, Dr. Guns had mentioned the president and his vision. We talk about economic and social mobility, and the School of Business is right in the heart of that. Talking financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and these are things that in a dynamic environment. So that can drive the continuous learning, because there's always new investments that are coming out. When you talk about identity theft, keeping up ahead of that, but even entrepreneurship. We are hosting a Panther pop-up, and I would love to see Black Wall Street come back, and VUU be in part of that. So.
That's so dope. That idea is like the dopest I've heard in a minute. That is so cool. I love that. Okay, what about you, Dean Strayhorn? What are you thinking? Have you seen some older generation come back in the School of Education?
We have seen every generation come back in the School of Education. I think it's a really exciting time. I like the way you're framing this as why you want to make Virginia Union your home. And certainly one of the places where you start to build that connection is through the Evelyn Reed Syphax School of Education. We offer undergraduate degrees and graduate degrees in elementary ed, secondary ed, urban ed, special ed. Listen, if education's in it, we've got it. And if we don't got it, we'll build it for you, because we've got all sorts of modalities and different degree pathways. We have this exciting academic schedule. You know it very well, Lexi, 16 different terms. And I just was saying this to a group the other day. That's because we understand that for our students that Virginia Union has always served. We didn't start doing it in 2025 like other folks, no shade to the other folks, but we've been doing it since 1865, and that is serving students whose higher education options were restricted because of life circumstances, financial circumstances, geographic circumstances. And so you're not always ready to go back to school in August or in January. No problem. We've got October terms. We've got, March terms. We've got 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 16 weeks. And so we can offer for our students the kind of educational flexibility and malleability that makes it possible to go to school while life is lifing and manage life, work, and home, to do it in a way in the School of Education that connects with all of my friends that you see on the screen. So I've seen older generation, new generation. I'm just waiting for the newborn baby to come and say, hey, I'm ready. Put me in, coach. But before we get there, I will say this. We've got students in the School of Education I'm getting to know who are interested in community schools. We've got folks in the School of Education who have strong, deep ties to the Black church, to the church, and are really interested in church schools. I'm a Sunday school teacher, and most people who teach in Sunday school don't have pedagogical training, but why wouldn't the School of Theology and the School of Education partner in ways that equip the next generation of change agents in those school settings. We've got folks right now who are really interested in ed tech. I was just talking to a student today who really needs data analytics. School of Education doesn't have data analytics, but the School of Arts and Sciences does. And we could partner in ways that prepare students in the School of Ed to go off and work in ed tech, to work in ed publishing. And I wouldn't dare leave Dean Jewell out, because we've got folks who need to understand, even in schools, in ed techs, in those settings, good customer service, logistics, and marketing. How do I then start a product up, starting up innovation in that design piece? That's all School of Business. So it's an exciting day to come to School of Ed, but this is the thing. If you come to School of Ed, you're probably going to live in all of these boxes that you see on the screen, because that's the life and the workplace that our students enter into today.
And that's what makes it work. And that's what makes it, we live in a world, and I'm so glad you spoke to that, because we live in a world, Dean Freeman, that everything's so accessible. And it wasn't, as young as I look, life was a lot different when I was growing up. There wasn't anything bringing anything to your door. You had to actually get in your car, walk down the street, and you had to move around. Now everything's at the, you can just order it up. My son, we need more water. He said, "Oh, I'm not going to the store." And he just did this. I said, "Sir, oh my God, you are so lazy." We live in a society where everything is just dialed up. But using this method, I think one, let me speak to this. When you said we can start in October, or we can start here, we can start there, that made it easier for me as a student, because I was able to just jump right in. I didn't have to wait for January or August. I could jump right in. And for those of us who are online learners, it helped me because I could take classes throughout the year. It just wasn't, it's May and now everything's shut down. I kept going, and that helped me graduate a little earlier, But I want to know from you, Dean Freeman, what are you most excited about coming up on the horizon for VUU? What gets you excited to make you want to put on your VUU shirt and be on this conversation?
So I will absolutely answer that. And I'm just going to jump back to the other part of the conversation. Yesterday, there's a student, an older student, who is excited about coming to the School of Arts and Sciences. Her daughter came through Union and has graduated. And so now the mother is coming, and she was excited. And she was like, "Oh, I'm going to get to do papers." And she's already trying to make connections with people. Wow. And so that's exciting, right? That families are coming to Union in the way that the school worked for folks in my parents' generation. And so I was excited about that. What I am most excited about here is something like today. So at 8 o'clock this morning, I was out in front of the Living Learning Center with 11 students from VUU who were meeting up with students from VSU, Virginia State. They're going on a trip to Merck, the pharmaceutical company, and they are excited about that opportunity. And those are the things that excite me. How do we create partnerships among HBCUs and folks in the community wherein we can provide access and opportunities for our students? We have bright, wonderful, caring students, the same with faculty, and to have those students show up and faculty show up to get on a bus to go to Merck, to come back and share their experiences is exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah, I'm also excited about some of the work we're doing around cultural advancement. So we know that when the world is amiss, artists get to work. And here in the School of Arts and Sciences, we are working on the Richmond 34 docudrama, which highlights the era of activism in the 60s. We have students and faculty and staff that are going to be in this docudrama, and it's going to be for the world to see. And so to just get students, faculty, adults excited about learning more about your history so that we can then go into the future is exciting to me.
That is extremely exciting. Now, I want to open this question up to all of you. I need you to answer it. Okay, let's start with Dean Guns. If you could describe the heartbeat of VUU in one word, describe the heartbeat of VUU in one word, what would it be?
I'm going to borrow from the father of belonging. The father of belonging, who's hanging out with us today, Dean Terrell Strayhorn. I'm going to borrow from him the word, and the word is belonging. I'm going to interpret it Gunsian, but I think one of the most interesting things is that it is rare. And Ray, if you can have us all on the screen when I say this, because I think this is important. It is rare that you would have all of the deans in the same conversational moment. That in a very real way, where this culture of community and belonging begins is at the level of the administration. It moves among our students, it moves among our faculty, but it's the fact that the other day after a meeting, after almost 2-hour meeting, after we had some other very necessary meetings during the day, the four of us sat around for about 30, 40 minutes and just talked. And it was interesting because when we got finished, of course, I had to go to Golden Corral because I had to go cook dinner.
Yeah.
And so, but it was interesting. It was that. So for me, when your leaders are engaged in community, then that begins to spill over into the lives or into the life of the campus. Because I like Harley Freeman. I like Wendy Jewell. I like Terrell Strayhorn. I like them. I appreciate who they are. And so Dr. Strayhorn, you can correct me if I was wrong in how I interpreted it, but it's this sense of belonging, this sense of being in community that I think is for me how I would describe Virginia.
I can speak to that. I feel like I belong here from the first semester that I came. That's why I chose to stay. That's why I chose to come back for my continued studies, because it felt like home. Dean Wendy, what's your word? The heartbeat of VUU.
Mine, it would be community. So a lot of what Dr. Guns was talking about, that sense of belonging, but there's that sense of interdependency. Our success is dependent on one another.
Wow.
The School of Business has a Master's of Church Management that we do in partnership with theology. I'm working with one of Dean Strayhorn's faculty members, and we're doing some financial literacy sessions for the elementary, middle, and high schools around here.
Okay.
With arts and sciences, we have a business analytics major here in the School of Business, but Dean Freeman has computer science and data analytics. So there's some partnerships there. We've been talking about having some workshops for artists that want to have their own business. So we are all here to kind of support and lift up each other, not just in this conversation, but even the work that we do, because it's our success is dependent on everybody else's success. And so we've got that interdependency. We as faculty aren't successful unless our students are successful. So it's all about trying to help one another achieve excellence, be their best self, and go after those passions.
I love that. I love that interdependence and community. Dean Terrell, what are you thinking?
Yes, I mean, so much of what we already said, I totally agree with. But let me, since Dean Guns, and he's right, it is about belonging. I won't use the same term. And I appreciate, Lexi, that you asked, what's the heartbeat of Virginia Union? You didn't ask, what's the ranking of Virginia Union. You didn't ask like, what's the sort of holdings of Virginia Union? What's our, bond rating? None of those things. Those are important metrics. You ask, what's the heartbeat? And that's, to me, a humanizing dimension, because there are lots of things out there, but not everything has a heartbeat.
That's right.
And what makes unions heart beat, to me, is the humans. It's the people.
Yeah.
It's the faculty, the staff, the students, the alumni, the community members, those who are just friends and supporters and have been generous. It's the people that truly create the heartbeat of this miracle on Lombardy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the heartbeat is felt through the dreams that our students have, the ones who come not entirely sure what they want to be, but they know they're on their way to something.
Yeah.
It's the wisdom that our faculty pour into our students in classrooms and laboratories and field experiences, and internships and externships and in-classroom practicum teaching. I think that heartbeat is felt in the dedication of staff who do all they can to make sure that, I love this phrase, that we get to deliver on the promise of a limitless future to the students who have trusted us with their lives and their resources. It's the pride that you feel, right, when you put on the VUU shirt or the hoodie. When you go into the bookstore and you just got to purchase something because you want to walk around with something that says VUU in scarlet and steel. I think that becomes the heartbeat of this place. I've been to Union on several tours so far, and every tour that's brought me back, I've never come back, no shade to the buildings. I've never come back for the chair. I've never come back for a lamp. I've never come back for the grass, although it's usually mowed pretty nicely. What brings me back is what I'm looking at on the screen. It's the people. As Dr. Gunn said, that is belonging. It's the feeling you get when you're in a room with people, no matter if the resources are tight, if the energy is tense, but gosh darn it, we believe in this vision. We believe in this mission. And we're committed to these students. And all of us are drawing on all we've got to make sure that we can power this place in a way that transports our student from who they are today to who they will become tomorrow. I'm not going to go through all the squares because I'm going to stay in my lane. That takes the student who says, I'm in school, but I'm not in love with school, and converts them, transforms them into a teacher, a principal, a superintendent. Someone who says, I'm interested in math. I ain't been good at it my whole life, but transforms them into a math teacher, one who gets other people excited about it. That's, to me, our chairman of our board says it best, but to me, that's the miracle on Lombardy.
Agreed. What he said.
I'm going to jump in and say, this might sound a little corny, but it's love. Like, we love being here. We love the students. They're in love sometimes is tough, right? So love is sometimes you are about to fail this class. Let's get together and work on it together. Or I need you to pick up the trash that you just dropped on the ground.
That's right.
Love is also a student. I had my computer down the hall. I was like headed to a meeting. I'm moving fast. And he was like, can we talk about a dance minor? Yep, we can. And we sat in the hall for a few minutes and talked about the student's ideas about having a dance minor, right? And so love is stopping in the middle of what you're doing, if we are able, and talk to students, talk to faculty, helping people hone in on their pedagogy, giving grace when people are having bad days, right? All of that is love. So it's all like, it is like warm and fuzzy, and we all like each other and all that stuff, but it's kind of love in a way that is going somewhere, and we believe in the students. Like, we honestly do. We know students by name. We know, like, how's your dog? How's your cat? Is your sister okay? How's your mama? Right? And so that, I think, is. And I went to a PWI, and I just was one little person in the class. And here, even as adults, people are like, "Oh, how was your dad doing today?" Or, "Did you eat today?" Right? So when Dr. Gunn was talking about going to wherever that place was you were going, Golden Corral, I was like, don't do that. You probably did it anyway. But like, we want each other to be healthy. We want to be strong. We want to be academically empowered. We want to have access to opportunities. And I think that comes from a place of deep love. And again, sometimes the love is corrective. It's like, I love you, and I'm saying, and I'm going to help you get through this. And I have to say, as the last thing in this little part, that every time the president addresses the group, he will say, I love y'all. Right. And I think that like permeates through the organization, that we're doing all that we're doing, even if sometimes it doesn't feel warm and fuzzy. We're doing it because we love them. And we know that when students succeed, their families succeed, and the community succeeds. And we want to keep all the dollars, if you will, all the talent, in the community.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and thank you, Lexi, for this question, because as I'm listening to my colleagues, I am, when I first came to the School of Theology, or came to Virginia Union to serve as the dean, Dr. Strayhorn was my provost. And I can remember all of the times that he made sure that I was okay. Taking, one time, I don't even know if he remembers. One time I just came to his office. There was no appointment. There was no calling ahead. and I had an idea, D. Holly Freeman. I had an idea to fix the books. To fix what my students said was the book issue. And I went in there, Lexi, and I was going to get it straight. I had been in like an hour. I had been dean for like 32 minutes. But I was going to fix the book issue. And I walked in there with my bright idea. I had worked it out, and I was going to fix it. And I'll never forget, he just sat there, he listened. And I was giving it to him. I was like, this is how we're going to fix this. And he listened. And then it was all over. He said, good idea. All right, so let's move to the next thing. And so for about 30 seconds, I was like, yo, he didn't listen. But then he said to me, he said, let's slow down.
Yeah.
And let's walk through this.
Yeah.
Right. And then he took time with me while he was supposed to be headed somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Took time for me.
Yeah.
And I say that because if you do that with your colleagues, imagine what we do with students.
Exactly.
Imagine what we do with students. I've seen Dean Freeman and Dean Jewell and Dean Strayhorn. At some point, they didn't even know I was watching. I've seen them interact with students. And I think the amazing thing about coming to not only HBCU, but coming to this HBCU is whatever may be our challenges, they are amazingly resolved when you get to connect to the people and the kindness that you see through those who do this work. And that's exciting to us.
It's exciting to witness and be a part of. Because I don't know if you guys are catching it, but there's a recurring theme that all of you have tapped into, and that VUU is more than just academics.
Absolutely.
You get academics here, but you get a sense of belonging. Just reading it off as you gave it to me. You get a sense of connecting in community. You get a sense of being humanized, not just a number. I went to a PWI too. Nobody knows my name.
Right.
Nobody. And so you're humanized here, and then you're loved on. People know who you are. They'll check on you. Everything that you're saying is not a lie. I have lived it. Case in point, had some my colleagues who graduated with me, and some went on to other institutions to get their doctoral degree. It is what it is. And I stayed, and they went on. And I tell you, just as sure as my name is what it is, called me and said, how's it going over there? I said, oh, it's going, you know how it is. It's going great. Yeah, man, I'm thinking about coming back. It's like, what? You were talking about, and we're keeping it real. You were talking about, some of the things that you didn't like. A couple of, they're slow over here, and this person isn't, emailing me back fast enough, or whatever the case, and, issues here. Why would you come back to something that you said, hey, it needs to be improved right here, right now? Why would you come back? And
Right.
with a resounding answer that echoed throughout space, I miss union, man.
Yeah.
The love, they said you can't get union anywhere. Not just one time, not just one student said this. Several of my colleagues. There is something about union that resonates in the heart.
Absolutely.
And it goes beyond things that need to be improved. I got a question for y'all. Since it's more than academics, and make this short, get in your mind a story that sticks with you about a student that had an experience that lets you know, that corroborates your statement that union is more than academics. Give me a story that you've encountered with a student that kind of sticks with you and kind of changed you a little bit and said, it made you say, as a dean here, like my living is not in vain.
I'll jump in on that one. I recently, very recently, there was a student who came in my office crying because she wasn't able to get access to the person that she needed to get access to get some information, and she was really upset about it. And I encouraged her to go talk to the chair, and she did so. And and we practiced and everything. And I'll talk to the chair. I'm like, she's gonna come, so have a posture of listening and all of that. And she went to his office, and I stayed there for a few minutes, and she really said all the things she needed to say, how upset she was, why she was frustrated, what she's trying to do as a president of one of the science clubs to coalesce other students around this idea, and that she needed some information from him that she wasn't getting. And she said, I've been here, I'm a senior now, and I want to have a certain type of experience in my senior year. And the chair listened to her, and they had a good discussion. And I just felt like, wow, like this student is, as a senior, is empowered to say what she needs to say in a way that the chair can hear what she's saying. And then he has the wherewithal to listen to a student. Like, how many instructors, how many chairs will sit there and listen to a student just say all the things and then respond back in a way that's solution oriented? And I just thought, like, if we can get students to be able to feel empowered in this way, especially when things they feel are not going their way, or they need information, or they're feeling some kind of way, if we can empower them to address the issue and seek solutions, then I've done my job. So that's outside of academics. That's just being a human, like you talked about before. How do we interact with each other, especially when times are hard? That helps us to develop solutions and to move forward. And I just thought, yes, do that. And how can we get other students who may be feeling similarly to talk? So what I'm saying is, like, it's not power over. Like, yes, we have structures and all of that, but it's power with. Right? We're not like power over. And so I feel like as students start to learn that we're in collaboration with them,
yes,
and as Dr. Jules said, like, our success is their success is our success, then we are really building or helping to develop students who will be able to advocate for themselves when they leave union.
And that was my point. That's exactly what I was going to say. What a life lesson that is to, because most people just throw their hands up.
Like, I'm mad at this person. I'm mad. She was like, I'm going to go talk to him. And she said some hard things.
Yeah.
And he listened, and he said back to her what he was feeling, and they came to a resolution. And now they're off on a trip to Merck to see the pharmaceutical industry, and they're fine. So I just felt really good about that. And she had the wherewithal to say what she needed to say.
I love it. Who's jumping in?
For
Dean
the sake of
Terrell?
time, I'll jump in. And, I think there's so many stories that I could tell, but you said keep it short. So I was thinking about which of these, I was going through my whole lexicon. That's why I hesitated. But, I want to tell the story, but it's really a Dean Jules story. I always tell the story at different places. I was in Pickford Hall, was almost run over by a student who was just rushing through the door. And I said, slow down. Where are you rushing off to? And he said he's getting off the class or rushing off the class. And I said, good grief, you must love that class. He said, no, it's not the class at all, really. It's the instructor. And he names a professor in business who he'll rush through doors and race through steps, not really interested in it's not the content that drew him. It's the instructor, it's the person. But, my sort of illustration that it's more than academics is I'm an administrator who teaches. As long as the university will have me, I love to teach. It's my lifeline. I mean, the administration work, the reporting, the supervision is important work, and I value it. But I come alive when I'm in classrooms with our students. And so one time I was teaching a class, and it was a class that was in person with some students remote. And the conversation was kicking off, the discussion was rich, and students were making the text come alive through their own lived experience. And I was stepping out of the way, as good instructors would, that once the students are demonstrating that they understand the content, they understand the objectives, they're just trying to make it relevant and anchor it in their own experience. If it outstrips your own experience, you don't have to be embarrassed about that. Just stand off the way. Be a sort of coach on the side. So anyway, conversation was going live, and students were just volleying back and forth their perspectives. At some point, someone on the screen said, hey, where y'all at? And they said, we're in Ellison room, whatever. And he said, how long y'all going to be there? And they said, we got like 40 minutes of class left. He said, okay, hold on, I'm on my way. And he jumped in his car. You could hear him jumping into his car, closing the door to make his way to campus. While this conversation is kicking off, we got one student in a car who was on screen making their way there. Another student who's online was like, hey, I'm over in the cafeteria. I was just finishing up my team sport. I had to grab a bite to eat. I'm on my way. Don't y'all leave. Before you know it, I had the students had transported those who were online to the in-person moment.
Wow.
I'm still standing at the side as a guide on the side, sort of steering the conversation, making sure they're staying on track. Every now and again, dropping in new content for them to kick around. At some point, we hit the end of class, and I was like, guys, girls, women, men, the class is over. And they looked at me and said, you got someplace to be? I said, well, I mean, class is over. They said, is it okay if we stay? So they stayed for like 30, 35 more minutes kicking around. What's my point? My point is, as I watched them in the room, I realized, although I was teaching psychology, it wasn't psychology that was happening in front of me.
Yeah.
It was community. It was relationship.
Yeah.
It was bonding. It was exchange. If I would say, keep it real, I saw East Coast, West Coast reconciliation in the classroom.
Yeah.
I saw wealthy and low income finding value in one another. I saw straight and gay moving beyond the binary to the content. And I thought, this is what community is like. And it happens in the classroom. It happens in the laboratory.
Absolutely.
I think for me, that just demonstrates what we're doing. It's not about academics. It's not just about passing a test or passing a quiz. It's about creating an environment where all students feel that sense of belonging, where they all feel safe and secure. They play an important role, but most importantly, learning is optimized. I'll stop there.
Absolutely.
And I think you could go on and on and on, because there's so many stories that you see every day. Dean Wendy, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I've got Dr. Odutola, who has been teaching here for over 40 years. I mean, we build these relationships with the students we advise or teach in our classes, and they come back even after they've graduated. Hey, I'm going to change jobs. What do you think? How can I connect? What can I do? Or, hey, I have this issue. Can you help me? So it's not once you graduate, see ya. You're still part of the community, and you can at any point come back and reconnect.
Yes. I love that, because people don't have to come back. They never have to reach back. They go through life. They don't have to, they move on. They don't have to come back. That's what lets you know if they've really been impacted.
Right.
That's the litmus test right there.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Dean Guns? I know you've got some stories.
It's interesting just listening to them. It's Yeah, this has been amazing. Our time together. I think for me, probably the most sacred of all of the moments of the year is graduation.
Yeah.
And to watch, because school theology has a slightly older crowd, right? Our students, our average age in the school of theology when I came in 4 years ago was 54 years old. Now it's trended down to 42 years old. But but it's been interesting watching persons transition through this process, not believing that they could do it, and then coming to graduation. And I can remember a lady who literally drove several hours to make it to graduation. She came by herself.
Wow.
No family there with her. And I can remember when she walked across the stage, and the president was there for that graduation, and she greeted him, right? Because he greeted her, and he was a part of that moment. And she walks off the stage, and we're standing outside, and she says to me, she says, "I've never had anyone so important tell me congratulations."
Oh my God.
And with tears in her eyes, she said, "I hate to leave this place because you all are my family." And so I think in a very real way, people may go after what they think is prestigious. We have persons who graduate from school of theology who become, influential. We have folks who graduate from arts and sciences and education and business who become thought leaders, who become corporate leaders. I've discovered, it may be a more, in quotes, impressive name, but it's not a better environment. We produce some of the best people in the country, right? Yeah. So you come to Virginia Union and get anywhere in the world. That's what we do. I mean, but what you can't duplicate is how people feel about this place when they really understand it to be what all of my colleagues have said. And so even now, this young lady will email me and just saying thank you, and I said, I didn't do anything. And she will say, you all did more for me than you'll ever know. So I think in a very real way, I love graduation. It is both exciting, exhausting, and emotional.
Yes.
Because we get to see people get to that special place that they've been working for.
I just want to add one thing, because this is something that actually you have enhanced, Dean Guns, for us. And that is, when I think about great universities, I think about what you just said. Great universities produce great graduates. What's interesting about Union, however, is we don't just produce greatness, we enhance greatness. In other words, we also recruit great people. I mean, Lexi was Lexi. People knew Lexi before she came to Union. She's just Lexier because now she's gone to Union. It's like, I look at the people who you've brought into the School of Theology, real talk. I look at the people, the Sidney Lewis School of Business doesn't just produce entrepreneurs. It recruits and enrolls entrepreneurs and CEOs and makes them better. And that is distinctive. There's some really top ranked names of institutions I'll leave unnamed right now that don't do that. And I think this is a unique kind of opportunity for, we do it in the School of Arts and Science. We certainly do it in the School of Education, where we take people who are acting principals who come into our weekend college and only get better. People who are already in classrooms. Some people would say they wouldn't need any sort of upskilling or courses. They come and sharpen those skills and develop additional strategies and pedagogies that make them even better in their practice and in their employ. That's really remarkable to me.
Same here. I got one last question. for everybody, and I'm gonna leave y'all alone. What do y'all think that a VUU graduate, what would make a VUU graduate stand out in this world compared to students that graduate from other institutions? I'm going to ask it again. What do you think makes a VUU graduate stand out in the world compared to other students that graduate from other institutions? What is that secret sauce that you think our graduates would have? What's that sprinkle that we have? Anybody?
All right. Everybody's just, somebody wants to close us out. I'm gonna let Dean Guns probably close us out in his own preachy way. But listen, he sort of gave us an on-ramp to this question, right? And that is, if you think about commencement, graduation being, some people call it the end at other institutions. We don't call it the end at Union. It's the beginning, really.
Yeah.
It's where that new journey, that new chapter goes. A few years ago, our valedictorian delivered a really powerful message and talked about the fact that her journey began at another institution. African-American woman, brilliant, smart, athlete. But at that place, she was, she didn't feel safe. She didn't feel supported. Through courses and experiences, she started to doubt herself. These are her words. I'm almost paraphrasing, but I think I've got it pretty close. She lost track of who she was. And I'm looking at this brilliant, beautiful, bold, bodacious woman who's saying things like, I didn't think I was strong. I forgot where my roots were. I didn't think I had skills. She said, and fortunately for her, a coach told her, you got to leave. You got to leave this place and go to the Miracle on Lombardy, go to Virginia Union. And we recruited her. And the transformation happened.
Wow.
And through her words, she said, and I'm getting chills just thinking, she said, I found myself again. And so that's the distinction to me. Everybody who goes to college can get a certificate, a badge, a degree. Look, you can buy these a dime a dozen on Amazon. You can go down the street and you can find our stickers. You can buy our mugs. I mean, you don't even have to go to the school sometimes to get that stuff. But let me tell you what you cannot do. You cannot easily duplicate or replicate. Once you've come through these doors, you're going to discover yourself again.
Yeah.
You're going to build a sense of self and confidence that will have you have no option but to stand out in an interview, but to be competitive for an internship or an externship. If you have figured out how to navigate this place, you can navigate any place. And here's the other thing: you can't get through. Students all across the globe are always looking for. As a higher ed scholar, students always say, "I want to go to college, get my degree, and I don't want to be bothered by anything else." That's not going to happen at Union. You can't get through Union untouched by this educational experience. You're going to need somebody, an advisor, a counselor, a dean, a department chair, a peer, and that is good, because learning how to ask for help during the journey will help you when you're in the workplace, when you're in the church house, when you're in the schoolhouse, to be able to ask for help and to stand out from peers. For me, I think it's going to be that sense of confidence, that sense of self, that place in the world. I'll just close where I began, and that is that sense of belonging.
I'm gonna jump in, Dr. Strayhorn, and say that we have a strong alumni association, so alumni do come back and support. I was at a book fair selling my books a couple of weekends ago, and like everybody in the room was a Union grad, and I was like, "Yo, we need help with blah 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 blah." They were like, "Yeah, we're there. What you need?" So folks were just so ready to come back and support, and I think that's the markings of when folks leave, they want to come back and help. To have that feeling again that Dr. Strayhorn just mentioned, right? That sense of belonging, even though they may have a job and they're doing this and they're doing this and they have received all the accolades, there's something different about being here. And people that graduate want to come back and pour into the students and the faculty here.
Wow. Okay.
What comes to mind for me is going back to the inside VU, the culture, that spiritual formation, and having to be in chapel, right? That changes you. It makes you better. There's that authenticity, that innovation, that drive. And so I think that shapes part of that union woman or union man.
Yeah.
I remember at last graduation, Dr. Guns was talking to the students, and he was just like, you know, it's a transformational process going through your program. It changes you.
It does.
You find out what's important, and you cast aside all that stuff that's weighing you down. So it's that process, I think, that culture, that character that makes union graduates stand out a little more.
I agree. Dean Guns?
So here's the secret sauce.
What's the secret sauce?
Here it is. In 1988, a 22, 23-year-old, very unprepared, untrained, unconfident is not the word, lacking confidence guy sat in seminary classes because his brother told him that he had to go to Union. He graduates in 91, does some other stuff, comes back in 05, graduates in 09 with his D-Min. In July of 2021, July 1, 2021, he sits behind the desk where others have sat who he looked up to. Kenny, Jones, Nichols, Mitchell. He sits behind the desk. And somebody walks in and says, "Welcome, Dean Guns." The secret sauce is Union produces its own leaders.
Good
Union
Lord.
produces women and men who are a reflection of not just, 2022, 2023, but 1865, as Dean Strayhorn said. And it produces the kind of people who can be trusted with the future of this country. I'm grateful because when I first walked in here as the dean, there were people who walked with me, and now I have these three amazing people, and we actually like each other. This is really not marketing. This is actually we actually text and we talk, and after we meet again when we don't have to meet. We check on each other. We give each other space to vent. So if you want to come to a school that will give you space to grow, this is the one to come to. Don't let all that other stuff fool you. Don't be impressed by the illusion.
Right.
The illusion is that some schools promote themselves as whatever, but Virginia Union is actually getting it done. And so thank you, Lexi, for walking us through this. Thank you so much. And listen, all y'all watching, you can register like right now. You can enroll in our school right now. As Dean Strayhorn said, you don't have to wait till January. You will be given the opportunity to become a part of the Panther community, the Panther family today. So don't you wait, because we got classes for you right now.
Yeah.
In every school, we are ready to accept you, and we're excited about this.
And when you do, according to this conversation and according to the witness here, you'll get a sense when you register for classes, you're registering for community. You're also registering to belong. You're also registering for that love, sometimes the hard love that comes with that. You're registering for your sense of self, for that confidence that you're gonna
absolutely
you're gonna have. You're registering for leadership skills. Union produces its own leaders. You're registering for some of those to be a part of that story. That you're gonna have your own story where you're gonna come back and you're gonna look back 20 years from now and say, I was a part of that.
Absolutely.
I was built with that. That's inside of me. So that's what you're registering for. So thank you guys for letting me be a part of this conversation. We need to have more conversations like this, seriously, so people understand the inner workings of our university. Yeah.
True. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.